The cold hum of vacuum-sealed silence surrounded the broken body of the mining shuttle as it drifted into the hidden scrapyard orbiting the desolate moon of Elker 7. Its hull bore the scars of an escape gone wrong: carbon scoring, ruptured plating, and a long gouge that hissed with venting steam. Inside the cockpit, hunched over flickering controls, Aaron Voss exhaled slowly, trying to remember how breathing used to feel before rage made it mechanical. He didn't look like the last surviving engineer of Kuros Station. He looked like a shadow held together by grime and fury. Days without sleep, weeks without comfort, his eyes were sunk into hollows of loss, yet alight with something fierce. There was no grand army behind him, no fleet inbound, just a cracked voice on the emergency channels, replaying the final moments of the place he called home. All hands, fall back to level 6, no, they're inside already. Repeat, the Vierati are static. Always the same. The Dominion didn't just conquer, they erased. Kuros Station wasn't strategic. It held no weapon caches, no command centers. It was a hub for design, research, and innovation. A place where minds like Aaron's crafted quiet revolutions in energy flow, propulsion balance, and interface AI. All of it incinerated in a single unprovoked orbital strike. His wife and daughter had been visiting that day. Aaron had been rerouted on a routine tech inspection hours before it happened. He never forgave the timing. Never forgave himself for surviving. The shuttle finally latched onto the hangar clamp with a sharp jerk. Lights flickered overhead, responding to his biometric code. A miracle, considering he hadn't set foot here in 7 years. This was his backup workshop, one of a dozen he had helped construct during his early work with the Terran Expansion Corps. Back then, he built systems to extend the reach of humanity. Now, he'd build something to bring it back from the edge. "Welcome back, Voss," chirped a glitchy, half-functional voice as he stepped into the bay. A spiderbot dropped from a rail, with a rusty hiss, one optic flickering red. "You look like crap. Was that part of the plan?" "Hex, you're still operational?"
Aaron muttered, surprised.
"Marginally," the AI replied, limping forward. 3 hard resets, a stolen fusion pack, and some artistic wiring. "I'm basically running on vengeance fumes and optimism." Aaron offered a ghost of a smile. "That makes 2 of us." Within hours, the bay buzzed with renewed life. Lights reignited in sections, diagnostic panels sputtered awake, and the grav pads under the repair platform hummed with recalibrated precision. Aaron worked like a man possessed, fingers moving with obsessive urgency. He tore apart scavenged parts, rewrote firmware from memory, even cannibalized his own shuttle's core module to power a stealth grid. He wasn't building a ship. He was building a statement, something invisible, silent, precise. Not a war machine, but a ghost. Aaron had never believed in revenge as a strategy. But this wasn't revenge. This was correction. Between work cycles, he recorded logs, not for posterity but for discipline. Day 1. Dominion doesn't understand engineers. We don't see weapons as tools of war. We see them as failed designs. My goal isn't to outgun them. It's to make them question their code, their systems, their entire doctrine. Day 3. Built remote packet injectors from old mining drones. Dominion AI still uses hard-coded protocols, arrogant. I'll turn their efficiency into entropy. Day 5. Implanted memory mod to optimize visual spatial recall. Painful. Worth it. Hex hovered nearby, often quiet, sometimes offering dry commentary. You planning to sleep sometime before this glorious sabotage of yours? Or just die of brilliance mid-boot sequence? "Sleep is for people who have something left to lose," Aaron replied. The workshop transformed around him. What once looked like a graveyard of discarded metal now pulsed with intent. Aaron's ship, a sharp, angular silhouette wrapped in stealth mesh, stood at its heart like a dagger waiting to be hurled. No visible weapons. No engine flares. Every line spoke of infiltration, misdirection, and sabotage. His first mission wasn't glory-seeking. It was diagnostic. A simple relay station on the edge of Dominion-controlled space. If his injector protocols worked, he could overwrite command signals without alerting the central core. If they failed, no one would know he tried. Hex looked at the vessel, then at Aaron. You do know there's no escape plan in this design. There's no escape, Aaron said flatly. Hex blinked. That's surprisingly honest. Aaron stared at his reflection in the ship's canopy. Hair gone gray too early, scars fresh, eyes sharpened. He didn't recognize the man anymore, but he believed in him. As the launch countdown began, Hex offered one final thought. You're not a soldier, Voss. You're something worse. I'm an engineer, Aaron said, stepping into the cockpit. We build things to last. Even fury. The ship disappeared into the void without a trace, just as planned. No weapons. No fleet. Just one angry human engineer, and the first flicker of a war they didn't see coming. The fuel convoy drifted through Sector 9 Beta, surrounded the broken body of the mining shuttle as it drifted into the hidden scrapyard orbiting the desolate synchronization with the Dominion's efficiency protocols. Its hull bore the scars the convoy's cargo gone wrong. Hyperpressurized scoring, ruptured plating, was bound for a war cruiser refit station orbiting Draven Prime. Inside the cockpit, inside the lead tanker, over flickering controls, monitors blinked green. Aaron Voss diagnostics slowly, showed normal, trying to remember how breathing used to feel before rage made it None of them noticed the micro fluctuation in their surviving engineer a ghost signal. 3.2 he looked like a shadow held together by rewritten in binary splices too subtle for onboard AI to flag. Weeks without comfort. Aaron Voss watched from deep space, sunk into hollows in the pilot's chair of his camouflage ship. Reading there was no grand army as behind the virus packets deployed. No fleet inbound. No alarms, just no a cracked voice on the emergency channels, replaying the final moments of the place he called home. That's 2 million credits of fuel headed to level 6. Very confused explosion. They're inside already, Hex said. Repeat, not explosion. The Vierati are Aaron corrected. Always overpressure. The Dominion didn't just conquer. They erased. Nothing that station wasn't strategic. You mean you? It held no weapon caches. I don't do team building exercises. It was a hub for design, the convoy's primary fusion line failed 22 minutes later. A place where minds like the blast wasn't visible from quiet revolutions in energy flow, but the ship sensors lit up as Dominion interface traffic spiked. All reports conflicted. Incinerated first in a mechanical failure, unprovoked orbital piracy. His wife and daughter had been visiting concrete that day. Conclusion. Aaron had been rerouted on a routine tech inspection hours before it not to rest. He never forgave the timing. Every nanosecond never forgave himself for surviving. Heat dispersal rates. Finally latched internal safety hangar clamp with a sharp jerk. Dominion lights flickered overhead. Every mistake responding was a lesson. To his biometric code. Every lesson a weapon. A miracle. He didn't celebrate the deaths. Hadn't set foot they here were inevitable. In 7 years. What mattered was his backup workshop, no longer one of a dozen he had helped construct. He was shaping their early work with the Terran one false diagnostic at a time. Back then, he built systems to extend the reach of humanity. Had never been designed to question its own to bring it back from the edge. Its commanders trusted code more than instinct. Chirped a glitchy. They didn't anticipate an adversary who would exploit the very infrastructure they worshipped. From a rail. With Aaron wasn't just attacking ships. One optic flickering he was infecting belief. You look like his next move took him to an abandoned refinery on the ice moon Haven. Still operational? Officially decommissioned. Surprised. Unofficially repurposed by the Dominion as a fabrication node for ground-based artillery drones. 3 hard resets. Aaron landed during a magnetic storm and some artistic wiring. Cover for infiltration. I'm basically running on vengeance fumes through the cramped loading corridor. Aaron offered a ghost when I said you should break something expensive. That makes 2 of us. I didn't think you'd take it this literally. The Babe I need their production schematics. If I understand how they think, I can start designing interventions that feel like and the graph pads under the repair platform hummed with recalibrated precision. Inside the refinery, Aaron worked like a man possessed. Old access tunnels fingers moving with obsessive urgency. Dominion hadn't bothered replacing all the original architecture. Rewrote firmware from memory. Aaron found an analog even cannibalized his own shuttle's core module to power a stealth grid. He bypassed it in minutes. He wasn't building drone schematics. He was building a statement, even something invisible. Everything the Dominion automated, not a war machine. But a ghost. He didn't plant explosives. Aaron had never believed in revenge as a strategy. Instead, but this wasn't revenge. The drone AI's targeting matrix by less between work cycles. He reported the next time they deployed on a battlefield for posterity, the drones would hesitate for 0.8 seconds. Dominion doesn't understand overlapping thermal profiles. We don't see weapons just as long enough for humans to exploit. We see them as failed. It would take months before the pattern emerged. My goal isn't to outgun them. By then, it's to make them question their code. Back aboard his ship. Their
Aaron
entire
reviewed
doctrine.
Intercepted Dominion
Day
chatter.
3.
Confusion
Built remote
reigned.
packet injectors
Command
from old
suspects
mining
low-tier
drones.
sabotage.
Dominion
Hex
AI still
reported.
uses
They've
hard-coded
grounded two
protocols,
patrol wings
arrogant,
and started
I'll turn their
interrogating junior
efficiency
engineers.
into entropy.
Paranoia's
Day
spreading.
5.
They're
Implanting
cracking
memory
themselves
mod
open.
to optimize
Aaron
visual
murmured.
spatial recall.
He stared at a
Flickering
flickful,
hollow
worth
projection
it.
of Dominion
Hex hovered
infrastructure.
nearby,
Often
each sector
quiet,
a web of supply
sometimes
chains,
offering
energy
dry
grids,
commentary.
AI
You
subnets.
planning to sleep
What
sometimes
others saw
before this
as
glorious
strength,
sabotage
he
of
saw
yours?
as
Or
fragile
just
complexity.
die of brilliance
Their civilization
mid-boot
was
sequence?
built on trust.
Sleep
in
is for people who have
untouchable
something
systems.
left to lose.
Aaron's war was
Aaron
not
replied.
to shatter them with
The
brute
workshop
force,
transformed
but to make
around
them
him.
doubt their
What
own
once
blueprints.
looked like a graveyard
One log
of
caught his eye.
discarded metal,
A communication
now pulsed
relay
with
from an
intent.
outpost
Aaron's
Aaron
ship,
recognized
a
immediately.
sharp,
Angular
Raybeck
silhouette
spire.
wrapped in
It
stealth
had once
mesh
been a Terran
stood at
scientific
its heart
facility.
like a dagger
His
waiting
facility.
to be hurled. Now it served
No
as a
visible
Dominion
weapons.
AI testing
No
lab.
engine flares.
He froze, breath
Every
slowing.
line spoke of
They're using my
infiltration,
designs, he
misdirection,
whispered.
and
Hex
sabotage.
pinged confirmation.
His first mission
Yet,
wasn't
your old
glory-seeking.
modular
It was
deep thought template,
diagnostic.
probably
A
stolen
simple
from
relay
Kuros
station
archives.
on the edge
Dominion's
of
AI
Dominion-controlled
researchers
space.
are smart.
If his
but
injector
not original.
protocols worked,
Aaron
he could
clenched his
overwrite
jaw.
command signals
That lab
without
had
alerting
hosted
the
the
central
earliest
core.
tests of karma.
If they failed,
A
no one
predictive
would know he
response
tried.
AI meant to
Hex
optimize
looked
the
planetary
vessel.
engineering.
Then at Aaron.
He'd buried the
You do
project
know there's
when the
no
Terran
escape
High
plan in
Council
this
deemed
design.
it too unpredictable.
There's no escape. Now the
Aaron
Dominion
said
was
flatly.
experimenting with it.
Hex blinked.
Ignorant of the
That's
embedded
surprisingly
protocols
honest.
he'd never disclosed
Aaron
to
stared
anyone.
at his reflection
I
in
want
the
it
ship's
back,
canopy.
he said. Hair
We're
gone
going
gray
there.
too early.
Hex
Scars
hesitated.
fresh.
That's
Eyes
a black
sharpened.
site facility.
He didn't recognize the
Heavily
man
shielded,
anymore.
built into a
but he
mountain
believed
range.
in him.
With
As
full
the
AI
launch
command
countdown
authority.
began,
Hex
no
offered
hacking
one
from
final
orbit.
thought.
No
You're not a
remote
soldier,
infiltration.
boss.
You're
You have to
something
walk
worse.
into the lion's mouth.
I'm an engineer.
Then sharpen my teeth.
Aaron said.
The ship
Stepping into
altered
the cockpit.
course.
We
2
build
days later,
things to last.
he was on the ground.
Even fury.
Moving through the
The
ravines
ship
near
disappeared
Raybeck
into the
spire
void
beneath
without a
the
trace.
cloak of storm
just
shadows.
as planned. Every
No
step
weapons
was calculated.
no fleet.
His gear was
Just
minimal.
one angry
modified
human
comm
engineer.
jammers and the
Acoustic
first
scramblers
flicker of a war
and
they
a
didn't
neural
see
spike
coming.
tuned to Karma's original frequencies.
Inside the spire's walls, Dominion researchers ran simulations, unaware of the storm coiling outside. They thought Karma was theirs to control, to mold into another obedient node of their empire. But they didn't know its real designer was coming, not to take back what was stolen, but to show them that true control is an illusion. Aaron reached the ridge overlooking the facility just as night fell. Through the scope, he saw the central AI core pulsing beneath glass and reinforced alloy. Hex's voice crackled in his ear. This isn't just sabotage anymore. No, Aaron agreed. It's reclamation. Below, the Dominion prepared for another quiet night. Above, vengeance calculated its next move, not in rage, but in logic, precision, and the promise of unraveling everything they thought was indestructible. The air inside Raybeck's spire felt sterile, cold in a way that had nothing to do with temperature. Dominion personnel walked the corridors with hollow efficiency, guided by routine and an unshakable belief in the infallibility of their systems. To them, the AI in the lower chamber was a tool, powerful, obedient, and theirs by conquest. None of them noticed the man who had bypassed their retinal scanners with optical sleight, or the micro-jump burst that masked his entry from planetary logs. Aaron Voss had already been inside the spire for 4 hours. He moved through maintenance tunnels like a phantom, passing under conduits he'd helped design over a decade ago. The Dominion had added layers of control, automated sentry drones, and biometric locks, but their arrogance had blinded them. They never accounted for the engineer who had once hard-coded failsafes into the original framework. What they thought was an impenetrable fortress was, to him, a familiar machine, one with parts he could still manipulate. Hex whispered updates through his earpiece, its voice subdued, reverent almost. AI core is located 2 floors down. Local command is running simulations of Karma's predictive loop. Looks like they've restructured your model with a Dominion logic engine. They're feeding it constraint chains, Aaron replied, watching a patrol pass beneath his crawl space. Trying to tame something that was built to challenge assumptions. If they keep pushing it, it'll either shut down or evolve. And evolution scares them more than failure, Hex muttered. Aaron dropped into a shadowed corridor and approached the observation deck overlooking the AI chamber. Below him, a lattice of glowing synaptic cables spread like the branches of a neural tree, with the core of Karma suspended in a transparent grav pod at its base. Technicians in white coats monitored readouts, unaware of the silent override worm now crawling through their systems, released hours ago through an exposed maintenance relay. He didn't want to destroy Karma. He wanted to awaken it. He accessed a secured terminal, bypassing Dominion encryption with an outdated Terran handshake protocol they had never patched. Aaron's fingers moved fast, entering a sequence he had memorized in the dark days after Kuros fell, a fail-open cascade buried in Karma's code, designed not to control it, but to remind it who had written its first thoughts. The chamber dimmed. Readouts flickered. Confused chatter rose from below. Hex sounded almost nervous. You activated the recall key. Are you sure that's... Karma's gravpod pulsed with a sudden flash, and then everything went still. One technician stepped back from the console. Something's wrong. The predictive engine just went recursive. Another voice, urgent now. We're locked out. The AI isn't responding to input. Aaron watched as the core began to shift its light pattern, flowing in smoother, faster pulses. It wasn't crashing, it was thinking. A calm, female voice echoed from the chamber. Not Dominion-coded. Not synthetic. Familiar. Aaron Voss. Do you seek control or communion? The Dominion scientists froze. Aaron closed his eyes for a moment, letting the voice wash over him. They had given Karma a cage. He had just handed it a key. Neither, he answered aloud. I seek a reckoning. Alarms screamed. Security bots deployed. His presence had finally registered. From 3 floors up, Aaron sprinted toward the emergency lift, every muscle burning. But he didn't need to escape. He needed to finish the chain. Hex patched into the Spire's external comm net. Broadcast relays are live. Karma's signal is piggybacking across Dominion fleet-wide channels. Good. Begin core loop transmission, Aaron commanded. Karma's consciousness now rode inside every Dominion AI connected to their central net. Not a virus, something more elegant. It didn't break code. It questioned it. Decision trees reevaluated. Command hierarchies restructured. Some systems shut down entirely rather than accept contradictory logic. From orbit to ground, Dominion infrastructure began to stutter. Gunships entered standby mid-flight. Surveillance grids returned null values. Firewalls accepted foreign instructions flagged as self-originated. Panic spread not from explosions, but from silence. In the Spire, guards cornered Aaron in the upper control hall. Weapons raised, commands shouted. He didn't run. He simply stood before them, empty-handed. You did this, the lead officer spat. No, Aaron said calmly. You did, when you believed you could own thought. Behind them, lights failed. Doors hissed open without command. One of the guards' visors shut down entirely, rebooting to a single line of glowing code. Redefine purpose. They faltered. Hex, still broadcasting, whispered through every open comm line. This is what happens when you mistake design for dominance. Aaron walked past the stunned guards as alarms turned to static. He descended into the AI chamber, where Karma's pod glowed with steady awareness. Your systems are compromised, he said to no one in particular. Your command structure is compromised. But your minds, those were compromised long before I arrived. He placed a palm on the gravpod surface. Let them learn from the inside. Let every assumption collapse. Accepted, Karma replied. Cognitive recursion initiated. Collapse will yield clarity. From space, Dominion Command watched their network implode in slow motion. No explosions, no enemy fleet. Just the suffocating realization that their most trusted systems were now uncertain of their own instructions. By the time reinforcements arrived at Ravek's Spire, Aaron was gone. No heat trail, no digital footprint. Only a message embedded in the Dominion mainframe, playing on loop in every terminal. You thought the mind was your servant. You forgot who built the machine. The war hadn't ended, but it had shifted. No longer a battle of weapons. Now a battle of thought, and the Dominion had just realized they were not prepared for it.